Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Roger Pascal, and we're back with another fireside chat. Today, we have somebody very special with us, Nick Lubeck. Nick is an investor here in Texas, and Nick and I have been working together for a few months. So, Nick, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, this is awesome. I appreciate you being on here tonight.
Thanks for
We're
having
going
me.
to talk about your journey into real estate. So this is always a fun subject when we're working with somebody that's been extremely successful in real estate, especially in the short amount of time that you have. So we're gonna get into this, but first thing we're going to talk about tonight is just a couple of weeks ago, Nick, his wife Sophie, and his four children, along with a group of us, went to Cancun, Mexico, for a real estate getaway. And tell us about that. Tell us what you thought about the real estate getaway, Coach Burt, Dennis, everybody involved.
It was great. This is my first time actually going to Mexico, and we actually acquired our passports the day prior to leaving. So, gotta keep it last minute. So, Coach Burt was awesome. He definitely rewired some things just to kind of get you on the correct path there. But more importantly, I think the A to B process that he talks about really, streamlined some things for us. It really kind of puts you back on your goals that you've set for yourself. So I think it was awesome.
Awesome. So tell us about you. Let's just jump right in and just tell us who you are.
Okay. Well, born and raised in upstate New York in a little city called Rome near Syracuse. I go to the next slide. My brother, he's 2 years older than me, Jay. He joined the Navy, so he wanted to get out of the little town. So of course, when I finished high school, I joined the Navy. So he got stationed in Virginia, and the plan was we're going to work the system. I was going to join the Navy, get stationed in Virginia, and the Navy was going to pay for us to live out in town. So they have a basic housing allowance. And so he had a place, and I was going to go stay with him. We're going to split costs and collect the money, right? And it didn't happen that way, of course. So
the Navy didn't have the same plan you did?
They didn't have the same plan. No, not at all. And they never do, really. So that's
Were you even on the same continent?
Yeah. And you know what? Funny story. The end of my Navy career, we were stationed in the same squadron together, which was a little cool thing there.
All right.
But go ahead to the next slide. So there we are in the little red dot, upstate New York. He was stationed right there in Virginia. And so you could see how close it would have been. We'd go back home, visit on the weekends, whatever it is. But instead, next slide, they sent me over there. Not in the area, it's a little funny up in that area. And we didn't also have to deal with the Southern California tent city. Next slide. Yeah, we didn't have to deal with that. We were actually in the center, which is like more agricultural in the Central Valley. And here's a little picture of what that area looks like. Go ahead, right there. Beautiful.
So what happened? Why didn't you stay on the East Coast? Why did you decide to go to the West Coast?
So I didn't choose. So when I finished my schooling, they allow you to choose where you want to go. And so, of course, California was open, but there was a lot of Virginia orders. And I chose to go to Virginia to go, to be with my brother. And I chose Virginia, and I got my orders a couple days later, you're going to California. I was like, what do I do now? Like that was my whole plan. My life is ruined. But honestly, it's probably one of the best things that could have happened to me. I had so much fun there. And even though I was on a Navy base in the middle of the desert in a place called Lemoore, it was still an incredible experience. So I got to meet a ton of great people and people I'm still friends with to this day. Another side note is one of the people I served with actually lives here in Tyler because I live here now. And so
Wow.
he's actually in that picture. He's a guy to the far left.
Where are you at in this picture?
I'm at the far right.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was running the radio because we worked on the flight deck. So it's really loud and you have to get calls and things like that while engines are turning and, you're on an aircraft carrier. Honestly, it was incredible, but I'm also glad I got out.
Now you were 11 years in the Navy, is that right?
Yeah. 11 years. Yeah.
Wow.
It
And
was,
you were were you on more than one carrier or?
Yeah, I was over the 11 years. I was on 3 carriers. We were on the Lincoln, which was that carrier there, the Reagan, and the Truman. And so we're not always on carriers. That's only for when we get deployed or we are doing workups and trainings and things like that. So
You stayed on the presidential carriers.
yeah. It definitely was not like that. I should show you where we slept and you just, see those pictures. But yeah, so we got to travel a lot, of course. I got to see some pretty cool places. Thailand, I'm sure you've heard some stories of that. Bahrain, Dubai, there's many others. But among that and my time in the Navy, we learned a ton of valuable skills. So leadership, they forced you to get uncomfortable, which was, one of the other things we talk about. But the deployments, after I had a family, they became very difficult because now I'm leaving for months and at a time, and now I have to come back and try to work back in to integrate there. But on my last deployment, while we were underway, I read some books, and specifically, the first one was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, which is I have a picture of right here. That one was the first book that kind of changed my way of thinking. So in between flight ops, I'd be downstairs, reading the book, and I was just kind of, it was a whole new world of thinking. And then I read, of course, like a lot of people, this next book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I'm sure most of your audience has read this. But I remember reading that book, and then I was looking at everybody. I was like, what the hell am I doing here? And so I decided, among other reasons, there was so many reasons why I decided to get out, but this definitely helped me a lot to just be like, you know what? I'm working so hard for the military where there is a cap, there's a ceiling, and no matter how hard I work, you cannot, bust through that. So if I work this hard there, what if I work that hard for me? And what could my life then be like? And more importantly, my time would be my own instead of being on somebody else's time where I have to be away from my family for many months at a time and, try to come back. You've heard the stories of, people being gone for a long time and then coming home to their little children, and they'll, it gets weird, when you're trying to build that relationship back when they're very young and they just don't know who you are, So I called it quits. So I was like, yep, that's it. So I gotta stick with them.
Wow.
But yeah, made the decision. After 11 years, I'm going to separate. A lot of people were like, you're halfway there. Just do it, And nope.
Yeah. How old would your daughters be if you kept your 20 years, 25, whatever that time frame is?
Man, so at 11, that was 4 years ago. They would be 14, maybe 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would be, on and off there. So in the Navy, you have shore duty and sea duty, and sea duty is when you get deployed, but that's usually within 4-year spans. Sometimes you'll get deployed twice or maybe 3 times, depending. Shore duty's all right because you don't leave, but either way, you're bound to the time of the Navy. If they want you to stay after work, you're staying after work. There's no.
And what do you think? Walk off the carrier, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Dive off real quick.
Wow. So now tell us about your first deal.
So yeah, I guess transitioning out of the Navy, I was supposed to work for Boeing, and that was my plan. That didn't work out. They had some problem with the Boeing Max, and they stopped hiring in that little window that I got out. And so I decided to start wholesaling because it was something that I was reading on, and I didn't fully know how to do it. I just knew, step 1, get a house under contract, make a deal, and this house that you see here is actually the first property that I wholesaled. And it came with its own set of challenges because this is the first time I ever had to do an easement. It was actually the only time. But my first deal, I don't know anything about real estate. And the guy that's willing to sell me this house wants me to do an easement. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll figure that out. And so that picture there is where he wanted to do the easement because he had a tractor and he also owned that land that was an orchard, and he wanted to get his tractor through on that easement. And so luckily I was attending real estate meetups because I had to consume as much as I could. I had to be around people that were doing this thing called real estate, and luckily I met a real estate attorney, and I brought this to her, and she was able to make it happen. And so it was so important just going to those meetings, whether you think you're going to get anything out of them or not. Those are key because, like the saying goes, your network is your net worth. And so that was a hurdle, and we got it done. So I actually, network is your net worth. Yep. And so right there, I did about 5 wholesale deals after this. I wholesaled them to the same investor, and finally I was interested in doing it myself because I didn't want to keep finding these properties for somebody else. I wanted to do more. I asked him. I said, do you know anybody that'd be willing to lend to me with no experience? Yeah. However, you do know that I can, I know the numbers. I'm making you lots of money off these, wholesale deals, and it. So he did refer me to a lender, and that's how I got started flipping my first house. And it was a house that I lived in for 5 years, and to this day it had been our best profit. I bought it in 2015 and we sold it in 2020 as the market started shooting up. Go to the next slide. Yep. I started the first. This is our house here. This is where we lived. It was on 1.25 acres, which was awesome. But then that is what we turned it into. My wife actually is still kind of embarrassed of this the after photo, because since we've done so many more, she sees all the things that she would have done differently, but it still came out. It's a beautiful house.
It's awesome. So you were talking about this the other day, but on the back right or the right side of that picture, you removed a wall and turned that room into a master.
Yeah. So if you look at the old picture, it was kind of like a living room, den area, and another room. And so we knocked that wall down. We added a bathroom into there and a walk-in closet, and it was just a large master suite, walk-in shower, everything. So it was really a good touch on this house. And
When
so,
you put it on the market, how long did it take to get a contract?
oh man, this one was fast. So, I want to say this was 2 or 3 days. Um,
Wow.
people were, especially this type of house. It had 1.25 acres in the city of Hanford, and it's not really common. So to have that at the price that we were at, so I actually purchased this house for 150 in 2015, and so at the time I owed maybe like 130 on it, but we sold it for 330, and with
Wow.
roughly, I would say roughly $70,000 renovation. But it was an awesome project, and still our best flip yet.
Now, how
But
did you find this house?
this one was on the market. Honestly, a lot of the houses we find have been on the market. They're just the ones that are in poor shape, and you make your offer based off of what you can, what you would actually offer on it, whether it was a wholesale deal or not. And
And
that's
being on the market, you mean MLS, right?
yes, MLS. So we've gotten good luck on MLS, just making the offers, and if they agree, then fine. At the end of the day, the way I see it too is like, we're paying cash. We don't care about the condition. We don't want you to fix anything. Would you be willing to pay a little bit lower for cash and ease, just to wash your hands of it, and we'll take care of it,
Solve their problem.
Yep, solving a problem. This house here is this isn't in a chronological order or anything like that, but this, I think, was our fourth house that we flipped. And so you can see we did make some bigger changes, like the stove. We moved to another wall so we can kind of make it its own viewpoint, I guess. We did a whole cabinet wall in the back, you can see there. But this was another property that we got off the MLS. The purchase price, I remember, was $215, and we sold this one for $340.
Wow.
And with $60,000 renovation.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Been through the contractors too. I went through probably, man, up to that point, probably 3 contractors. So this is Sanger. This was a house that was further away, and I told myself, after this, I'm not doing another big house that's far away. And then here we did one in Fort Worth, and we said the same thing again. But
yeah,
this was a challenge. We definitely overestimated it, or I'm sorry, underestimated it, and it was a bigger beast than what we thought. But it came out beautiful. So on the next slide, you're going to see, the changes that we had made.
Wow.
It was a beautiful house, but definitely the travel time, the getting materials over there. This is in a place called Wonder Valley in California. It's kind of like in the mountainous area, up more north. But it's a beautiful area. They actually let the cows and the livestock just kind of roam freely, and so it was a cool little experience.
So, do you have any particular challenges with this house, or was it just pretty cut and dry?
Yeah, this had a well and a septic, and so we had to do some well repairs. We had to do some septic repairs. There was just kind of a lot of, extra things that were issues here. It wasn't just, cut and dry, flip the house type of thing. But other than all that, those are costly things, to fix a well or fix a septic. I'm sure you've gone through that, and that can be a make or break, But luckily we did make some money off this, but not as much as we were hoping for when we got into that. So
Yeah.
This here is actually one of our favorites as well. We turned it into an Airbnb, and we top to bottom, we extended the some of the pass throughs there. We made a lot of them archways, and you can see the galley style kitchen. My wife designed all that. But this was a pretty good performing Airbnb, even in the low season. So this turned out great. I'm pretty proud that I did the backyard there myself. So not myself, but I designed it, while my wife did the inside. She can get the glory for that, but I did
So that wasn't the septic issue, right?
No. This is a different house. Yeah. No, that's an actual pond I wanted there. So.
Oh, okay. There you go. There you go. Awesome. Now this is your first Tyler flip.
Yep.
So what made you? So you mentioned earlier you jumped from wholesaling to flipping because you just wanted to be more involved and you saw the money into it.
Yeah.
So a big step. You picked up your family, loaded everybody up in the station wagon or whatever minivan,
like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Texas. What brought you to Texas?
Man, a lot of reasons. So we knew we wanted to go to East Texas, specifically East Texas. We wanted a place where it was green, where we could have land for relatively cheap. And I'm from upstate New York, and I did not want to go back to the snow and that type of climate there. But I enjoyed the heat, but I didn't want to stay in California where it's dry. There's no rain, and so East Texas was just kind of like, that was it. That's the gem for us. So I also had a buddy. He's my best friend to this day. I visited him in San Antonio, and I just thought it was incredible. I was like, man, I love everything about it. So we decided to look in East Texas. We want to be a little bit north. And the idea is, honestly, we kind of picked a spot on the map. So we did not want to live in a big city, but we wanted a place that was growing. And so Tyler just kind of happened to be that one place. And the idea was jump into a house here, and then we're going to figure out what house we're moving to next. That will be another investment, essentially, but our forever house. So that's actually one of our next steps there. But yeah. And the other thing that got us to move so quickly is our kids were starting school, and we had to be here before they started school. We didn't want them going to school in California, coming home and, questioning their genders and stuff. So we went here, and that was it.
Do you have any family in Texas?
What's that?
Do you have any family in Texas?
We don't have anybody in Texas. So
Wow.
that was the other, that's a pain point for us, but we make it work. We luckily real estate, it's very flexible. We can bring our kids, and that's what it is. So.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us about let's tell us about what's going on here.
So, well, basically, by the end of this year, we should hopefully be at 20 flips since we started in 2020. I just kind of wanted to stress that your network is your net worth, and attending those meetups is where you're going to build your network. The first meetup I went to, I wasn't really thinking I was going to take anything away from it. And sure enough, that one time, you'll meet key individuals. And if anything, they have a network of their own, and so it's so important to get out there and start meeting these people and providing value. And that's how deals are done. That's how partnerships are formed. And on the next note, while you're in the real estate, while you're making successes and things like that, share it. Social media is extremely powerful, and we acquired a few private lenders through just posting some of our work, saying, showing before and afters and saying, if you would like to be a part of this, hit me up and we can discuss terms and things like that. People may not know, but this is an option for them instead of keeping their money in a bank. And one thing we always stress is the power of staging. And we actually have a story for that if we have time. We were doing 2 side-by-side condos, and they were mirror images. And we staged one, and we did not stage the other. And same building, but the feedback that we got was that they liked the one, but they did not like the other. And it's like, these are the same buildings. It's the same thing. We just staged one, and we got that one sold. And so we had to move the staging over to the next one. So our standard is we stage every property, and we do it ourselves though. So that's kind of the thing there too. My wife is the brains behind all that. But last but not least, I would say get uncomfortable. Comfort destroys ambition, and that is the key to all this. As you become successful or start making these small successes, you're going to start getting comfortable, and that could lead to being complacent. And I think that trip to Cancun kind of rewired it too. It's like, what, I'm starting to get comfortable, and so that's why it's so important to not be in your comfort zone and bust out of that.
Absolutely. So this is incredible. This is an incredible journey for you. So what's next? What's next for you? What are you looking? Getting uncomfortable is a key point there, but what is your next big thing to transition into?
Well, there we have a few things that we're looking to do. We're actually hoping to close on our dream house that we're going to renovate into a Spanish colonial hacienda. It has a lot of land, and the idea is, we start our dream house there. But more importantly, we're transitioning into multifamily, and the idea would be, apartments, things like that, commercial real estate. And Grant Cardone said, why would you put the energy into single family homes when you could put the same energy and effort into multifamily? And that really hit me. I was like, you know what? That's very true. Same energy. You design one and you can do them all, So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are you hoping to pass on to your children as you build this industry for you?
Well, just a good work ethic. I want them to know the value and the power of real estate and making connections with people. And I want them to have their own rentals and own interest in real estate before they get out of high school. That's kind of my goal as a father, to leave them with something that they can then handle themselves. But it's, especially today, I think it's so important. You have to have streams of income that whether they want to go out and be doctors or car mechanics, who cares? I really don't care what they do, as long as they're happy doing it. But I want real estate to be in their portfolios,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I see it going down.
Wow. So I think you mentioned you've got 3 properties you're doing right now.
Yes, I have 2 that are side by side in Tyler. We just listed the one that was in Fort Worth, and we have one that we should be finishing it up here. It's actually this house that we're staying in. It was the one that we came here in, and it's been a slow flip. Having 4 kids, and it's a process. I feel like sometimes we're just taking steps backwards, but But no, it's great. But after this, we're hoping to close, like I said, on the Spanish hacienda style house there. And yeah, that's it. That's it right now. Oh, and also I almost forgot, we have a smaller flip here in Tyler as well. That we'll probably make into a rental. It's like a little house, kind of. It's not really North Tyler. It's eastish. I'm sorry, westish. But should be a pretty good one.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what a great story that is. And so most of your funding comes from private lenders, is that right?
Correct.
We left that out.
Yeah. Private lenders. I have used a hard money lender before. It's great. Any way you can get into projects is great. But I personally wasn't a fan of the draw system because, I need it when I need it, and so I do appreciate the private lending aspect of, this is what I'm going to give you. This is the percent, and you'll have this back in, X amount of days or weeks or whatever the duration is. I like just the kind of freedom that provides. So, and I think having that too is important. If you have a track record, I don't expect people to just drop you money and, you don't have anything to show for it. So
Right.
That's definitely important. So, but
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, Nick, this is a great story. It's really fun to watch this happen. In my career, almost 20 years in this, I've watched this happen so many times, and how so many people have changed the legacy in their life of where they were going to be. And it was great that somebody, it was unfortunate, but it was great that somebody made a mistake on an airplane and caused you to have to go look at other areas there. And a lot of us come from entrepreneurships. I think your dad owned a flooring store, and a lot of us come from that type of environment. Sometimes we have to dig in our console for some change to make that deposit in the bank to cover that check you have out there.
Yep.
So, and I'm looking forward to watching your business grow. So thank you for joining us tonight. Hope to have you on again to share some more success stories and some. I love to see the before and after pictures. You've got a great video on that Tyler house that we just showed, before and after on that your videographer did, and that is just absolutely superior on that.
Thank you.
So, thank you for being on here tonight. Did you have anything to close out with?
No. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This is I enjoyed it, and hopefully I can have more and better content for you next time, and we'll try to get some videos worked in here. So,
all right,
it's more to the eye.
That'll work. Nick, thank you so much. We will see you next time, and thank you everybody for being on here tonight and watching this as a recording in the future. Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye.
See you later.